I did mention this a couple times this weekend, that we do also have a FOMC meeting on Thursday, which not a whole lot of people are paying attention to, but 98% chance baked in that we will have a 25 basis point cut. Overall, that is good. On top of the 50 basis point, that's 75 basis points right off the bat. And we will have one in December too. Most likely 82% chance of another rate cut. So that's a full percentage drop down by the end of this year. Overall, this is part of the liquidity injection that our government is doing to spur up the economy. So this is obviously very good, not just in the US, but around the world, right? When liquidity starts flowing, that's when investments and commodities and everything else starts going up, like markets, like stocks, like Bitcoin, like crypto, and everything else in between, right? It's starting to happen already. But what about this? What about what's going to happen tomorrow, right? I mentioned this already. The market's basically already priced in. Well, it depends on, I guess, who you ask and which news site or which broadcast you go to, because it depends on which side they're taking on. But it does seem like the prediction markets are actually predicting one way or another, which in this case right now, most are predicting Trump are winning. But if you look at least if you look at Bitcoin, okay, you look at the last, basically going all the way to the beginning, and you look at every single cycle that we've had, there's been a lot of switches from blue to red to blue to red, and every single time what happens? Bitcoin continues to go up. It's not like it's done better under one or the other. Bitcoin does not care. Bitcoin is not a person. Bitcoin does not have feelings. Bitcoin just continues to go up. It's driven by code, and it goes up because it's scarce. It's really that simple. Now, of course, I recognize policies does affecting macro conditions, does affect things, right? But ultimately, and those things does affect how quickly Bitcoin could go upwards, yes. But ultimately, Bitcoin goes up because there's more demand than supply. That's it. It was created to be the anti-government, the anti-central banks, anti-establishment. And that's why it has done very well over the years, and why it will continue to go well, because no matter who becomes president, it doesn't really matter, because every single one going forward and every single one prior has always ended up printing more money and more money and more money and more money, right? That's why we have inflation. That's why our debt continues to go up in this country. It just keeps going up and up and up and up, and it's not going to stop ever going forward. That's why our national deficit is at 35, now closing at 36 trillion. And it just seems like there's no end in sight. So that is the reason why we have Bitcoin, because it doesn't really matter when it comes to money. At least we know fiat, especially the USD and others, eventually will fail. It will hyperinflate to nothing. Our purchasing power will eventually go to zero. That's why we have Bitcoin. So yeah, policies and macro conditions does affect things short term, but long term, we know Bitcoin will continue to go upwards and forever, because we know the dollar will inflate to nothing. And while it's inflating, it causes goods and services to go up, which ultimately will help assets like Bitcoin do better, right? So this is what I'm saying. If you go back, you look at the cycles, what has been happening, the cycles show that, oops. Oh, I missed one. There was one chart, I closed it out. But anyways, basically bottom line is, if you look at the cycles, every single one, Bitcoin continues to go up, right? So ultimately, that's what's going to happen this cycle too. But here's something else that's interesting. If you look at the last 2 cycles, you look at what has happened a month before and a month after election day. Okay? What did I say about October or October? People were very bearish about it, but we closed out double digits, 11%. Last year or last cycle, we closed out better, 28%. The prior cycle before that, we closed out 15%. Look at what has happened 1 month afterwards. In 2020, we closed out plus 42%. And then in 2016, a month afterwards, plus 8%. So, green. So this time around, after tomorrow, 1 month later, if you were a betting man or you're placing bets in the prediction market, what would you place your money on? Green or red, right? It's most likely going to be green once again. Usually elections, they're a good thing. Good thing at least for Bitcoin. I think for overall markets too, they're usually a good thing. And here's something else that's pretty shocking. Again, this is more of a broader look. This is actually really, really shocking. And if you don't believe in anything else, this is something that you should believe in. And you could even take the elections out of it because this is more like a cycle thing. But since the Bitcoin halving event occurs on election year every single time, think about this. Every single cycle halving year, which correlates with every single election year, we form a bottom. And that bottom is never ever seen again. And then we go on to form a new high. So if you look at the last bottom, right, was around $13,000. We remember that, right? It wasn't that far. It wasn't far that long ago. It didn't seem like it was that long ago. And the prior bottom to that was $683. And the prior bottom to that was like $10, right? You could see how the bottoms have gone higher over the years. And then you guys remembered all-time highs, right? About 1,000, a little bit above 1,000, and then slugged under 20,000 to 69,000 from the last cycle, right? And we don't know what the cycle top is at this junction. It could be 200 something thousand, whatever, right? But we're about to form our bottom now, which I guess, I don't know, wherever it is going to be. But bottom line is, the bottom keeps on going higher and the top keeps going on higher. So election day, basically tomorrow, wherever we are, like 68, 69, 70,000, that will be our new bottom, okay? And that is going to be a point, if based on history, we will never ever get to that point again. And then we will set a new top, like 200,000, 300,000. And even if we come back down, we never hit that point again. At least according to history, we have never done that before. That's how crazy things are.